Okay, one of my first experiences with the Qantum-Touch was a very nice one. I had my practice in the house of my parents, and once I was working and I had some time over, some time left, and I said to my mother, okay, shall we work with your arm? And my mother had a very crooked arm. It was broken when she was 9 years old, so that was already 60 years ago. And it was not healed very well. And she had a lot of pain in it, and she did a big bump in on the inside of her elbow. And I worked on her for, I think, about 15 minutes. When I started, she said, oh, that's amazing. It felt like a nuclear explosion in my arm. And I said, oh, can I go on? Is it hurting you? No, it's okay. After 5 minutes, she said, oh, my head is aching so much. Can you treat my head now? Okay, I treated her head. And then she said, oh, my left ankle is so painful. Can you treat it? Okay, I said, I treat it for you. And then I had to go back to the arm again. And before we started, I measured her arm, not very good, but near to a bookshelf, and it was very crooked. And after the treatment, her arm was almost straight, and the big bump was gone. And she said, now I remember just what I did when I broke my arm. I had some new shoes, leather shoes, and her father said to her, well, don't go outside till I do something to the bottom of your shoes, because they are so slippery. But she didn't listen to her father, of course, like many children. She went outside, she was running to her friends to show her new shoes, and she fell down. She kind of hurt her ankle. She fell on her head, she had a big head injury, and she broke her arm. And in the treatment, her body told every place that needed some attention that was linked to the big place in her arm. So after that, she said, oh, Qantum-Touch, wow. And I was just working, I think, for about 3 or 4 weeks with Qantum-Touch. So when I experienced this, I said, well, I think everything is possible with Qantum-Touch. Well, the first thing I experienced with Qantum-Touch was when I worked with my husband. My husband has a lot of back pain, had a lot of back pain, I have to say. And he had some hernia, how do you call that? Hernia. And he was operated twice. And when I learned Qantum-Touch about a week later, my husband woke up in the morning, he stood up and he was completely out of line. And his left hip was, I think, about this much higher than his right hip. And I was so happy because I said, I learned something and I want to try it on you. I don't believe that it works, but let's try it. And I took my husband to my practice. It's about 2 minutes away from my house. And I asked my mom, will you please see and watch what I'm doing? Because when something happens, I think I still don't believe that it works. Well, my husband stood there with his hips far out of alignment. And I sat behind him. I did my breathing and sweeping. I closed my eyes and I thought, what is he doing with his back? It was like he was pushing it all the way to the window. But when I watched, my hands were still here. And then I said, how does it feel? And he said, well, I don't know, but why are you pushing me to the window? I said, I don't do that. And my mother said, she's not doing that. She's just breathing and sweeping. So I go on and I thought I have to do it for at least 15 minutes. So I did my best. And then when I was finished, he was aligned, completely aligned. And I said, how does it feel? He said, oh, it feels very good, but I have some muscle pain in the hip that was very high. So I treated that, and after that, he didn't feel anything. He didn't feel pain. He felt very good. He felt very energetic. And what he did this afternoon, he went on the roof of a church nearby because he had to do something there. And I was very angry at him. I said, why do you do that? This morning you woke up, you were quite out of line. And now you're healed and you do some things that are not good for you. But I said, but I feel so very good. I feel so in line. So that's my story. I started to teach Qantum-Touch as the first trainer in the Netherlands in October 2005. And since then I had about 100 workshops and I had more than 3,000 participants. And I'm so delighted to work with all those wonderful people who are so enthusiastic about Qantum-Touch. And when you see that in about 1 or 2 hours they work with Qantum-Touch, they get amazing results. They align hips, they align the occipital ridge, they treat pain spots, and they are enjoying themselves. And I really want to do this much more longer. And I said, when I get bored to teach it, I stop. And normally I get bored very fast, but I'm still not bored to give Qantum-Touch, so I'll be a trainer for at least some more years. Okay, I treated so many people with Qantum-Touch, I think, maybe 10,000 or more. And what I experience is that when I see things happen again and again and again, I start to believe that it works. And then when I work with someone, I think, okay, let everything happen what the body can do. And I think so much more can happen than I can imagine. Because I couldn't imagine that my mother's arm would heal after 60 years, but it did. And I couldn't imagine that I could get my husband straight when he was so far out of line, but it worked. And because it worked with them, I'm really faithful, and I'm really experiencing that it would happen with everybody. Okay, what I notice when people attend a workshop for the first time is that they are all happy to learn something that they can use that is so easy. It's nothing more difficult than breathing and imagining a kind of flow through your body. And at first they can't believe that it's that easy. They say, well, there must be more, you must work harder. But I think the big, I don't know what lines anymore. I think most important is that you understand that you don't have to do anything more than breathing and sweeping, and the body of the other one does the work. And it does exactly what it can do, what it wants to do, what it needs. So I don't have to think about what I'm doing. I just ask, where do you want my hands? And I see all the people who do it for the first time are so excited that they can ask where it hurts, they put their hands there, they just sweep and breathe, and it works.